Get started very shortly. Thank you, Nancy.
Give me a seat.
Charlotte.
I'm right here.
Right.
You can have a family. We were not trained in other habits. I heard you said she has cheater stuff. Since George still wants to fight with Robin as a different.
No, we knew we were having this.
I'm gonna reading my reading. So it's it's only Charlie's made a good yeah, he was really at and that was good. I like that. I think I have to in my umbrella. Okay, so I didn't like it's getting back. It's really, really, yes. Hey there. Very much so.
Already is recording. Great. Everybody, welcome. We'll be getting started in just a minute or two.
I'm just gonna see if I can find some water.
Yeah, they should be there. So we're doing down about the we're not allowed to tell them about our neighbors.
Great to see you. How have you been? Yeah.
All those
Just important speakers.
slowly.
These are.
So let me express it more here. Some reason you learn that it's all going to make you like a person. I did. I thought when I first like Susanne reached out, I was like, no one else.
Officer Nastasio, you're on deck, yes?
I am here, yes, sir.
Be right with you. All right, it's 5:02, so I think we can start the meeting. Just want to make sure that Susanne is on. There you are. Adjusting the lighting, adjusting our lighting here for dramatic effect. Well, welcome everybody. This is the July Wharf District Council meeting. I'm Matthew Murphy, Vice President, and alongside me here is Susanne, of course, Executive Director. And I have to say, this is a robust turnout for such a inclement weather evening. It started to pour. What's that? That's right. We're hardy, resilient. So we have a great agenda tonight, and Mark, our president, is out of town at the moment. But across here we have Norm, who's here, and no John Larrabee on this.
No, he's on.
Oh, okay, great. So we have a really terrific agenda tonight. A lot of really good stuff to talk about, and of course we want to start with District A1 and a report from the police. And let's see, I believe Officer Mustaki is ready to go.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Michael?
Yeah.
Are you taking a bit of able to breathe a little easier now as these big events passed?
Yeah, well, we just got done with the FIFA in Sale Boston, but now we have the feast in the North End, so it's going to be a crazy summer for us.
Crazier than these other big events that happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I got 3 reports here for you guys. Then I have some of the numbers for the year so far, and then I'll take any questions you guys have. The first one's going to be about 3:20 a.m. This is last Saturday, the 18th. Officers responded for a car accident at Atlantic Ave in East India Row. A gray Jeep had crashed into a fire hydrant When the officer spoke to the occupant of the vehicle, he said his friend was driving. When the officer asked for his friend's name, the guy didn't answer. The officer then went over and spoke to the other individual who was in the car, and they could smell a strong odor of alcohol, and he was having trouble speaking to them. So he was read his Miranda rights and questioned further. He said that a car came up behind him and pushed his vehicle into the fire hydrant, and he said that he had drank 2 beverages. There was a witness on scene who said that he saw the whole thing and that nobody hit the car from behind, that it just drove directly into the fire hydrant. So this guy's car was towed. He was charged with OUI, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, and leaving the scene of property damage. Then we have this one's 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 12th. Some of our officers were working the area for Sale Boston, and somebody was operating a drone at the end of Long Wharf, and we seized the drone and then turned it over to the FBI. So from what happens with that there will be their decision, but they did say that it was a no-fly zone for drones, so that was confiscated. This last one's going to be at 9 a.m. on Friday, July 10th. Officers responded for a break-in and entering at 63 Long Wharf. On arrival, they spoke to the captain of a boat that was parked there, and he stated that around 8 p.m. on the previous evening, somebody was able to break into the boat. All they stole was a few bottles of alcohol, but caller did say that they observed damage on the door getting into the boat. He couldn't get us the video footage at that time, so this one's assigned to detectives, and they're working on that one right now. And then just to compare this year to last year, this is going to be both up until this date for each year. Everything's pretty much the same, which is good because last year was a pretty good year. Violent crimes, the same, very little. Commercial burglary, we have 1. That's that one from that boat that I just read to you. Residential burglaries, we had 1 in 2025. We have none this year. Everything else, larceny from a motor vehicle, 2 each year, same thing. Other larcenies, which would include like things such as package theft, that's down a little bit this year. So it's all within 1 or 2%, so it's all pretty much the same. The only thing that I'm happy about it, I know the captain's happy about it. We do those code 19s. I know I've spoken to you about them in the past. It's when an officer will just come walk around and monitor traffic. In 2025, up until this date, we had 20 of them in the Wharf District. In 2026, we have 129. So that's a 545% increase. So we're really happy to see that. But that's all I have right now. I'll take any questions if anyone might have them.
Is that it's just astonishing to me how relatively trouble-free these huge events were, and how well all the organizations, but particularly BPD, handled this whole the planning, the execution, everything felt very safe to me anyway. And our hats are off to you, officer, and to the whole everybody in A1 and beyond. So thank you so much. I mean, these few weeks have just been an incredible shot in the arm for Boston, incredible visibility and just a great positive time. So, and you and all the police officers are to be commended for the great job that you all did. So thank you for all of that. Let's give them a round of applause.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we had a couple very minor things. Most of our complaints were just some people being inconvenienced. with traffic and stuff. But yeah, I appreciate that, and everything did go very well. So we're pretty happy with the way it went.
Well, I know that you all work very hard. I live in the north end, and although I work down here, and I've just never seen, I've never seen the police barriers go all the way along Commercial Street up to Battery Wharf, and
Yeah.
just out there. I know you put in a lot of hours, and it's all appreciated. So,
Thank you.
anybody else have a question, Officer Mustachio? Great. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Move on with our agenda this evening, and we've got a really terrific keynote speaker, I guess you would say. We have with us Derek Anderson, who is with Associate Principal of Civil Engineering for Arup, the great engineering company. And Derek, of course, was quite instrumental in the Wharf District Council's climate resilience and coastal, I can't say the whole title myself, but anyway, it's a coastal protection plan that we've been working on for several years. And now Derek is also working with the north end to develop their own plan further down the street. So Derek, you want to tell us what you're going to be showing us this evening? And
Sure.
Yeah. Good.
Maybe I'll stand up and hear people in the back. But
You gonna move?
I'm just gonna hang out here.
Okay.
If that's all right. But yeah, thank you very much, Matthew. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Derek Anderson. I'm a civil engineer. I lead our civil and water team out of our Boston office, just over 60 state here in the Wharf District. I've been leading the, do you need me to speak up?
No, I just want to speak over a bit.
Sure. So I've been leading the Wharf District Council's flood resiliency plan that we published in 2023 and several resiliency initiatives since that time. Today, I'm here to speak with you along with one of my colleagues out of our New York office, Haytham, who's on the call, and we'll be presenting the findings of two studies that we have recently published that'll be up on the Wharf District Council's climate resiliency page, if not tonight, very soon. So the two studies we're talking about tonight, the first one is up on the screen already. It's a inland stormwater drainage and flooding study, and that'll talk about the effects of rainfall during a coastal storm surge event on the Wharf District. The second study, which my colleague Haytham will speak to, is a precedent study, a review of nationwide flood resilience plans of a similar nature to what the Wharf District and the City of Boston is looking at from all over the country. So we can look at what lessons we as a community can learn from those other projects around the country. As Haytham and I are going through these two presentations, if you're just like, I just don't get this, Derek, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, I'm confused about this thing, feel free to just interrupt and ask any clarifying questions. But if we do have more contextual questions, or if you wanted to have more of a discussion about the content, maybe let's hold that until the end of the presentation so we can see how much time we have, because I know there's a few other folks on the agenda after us as well. I'm excited about the children's museum. So first, kicking off with the inland stormwater drainage and flood study. What we set out to do with this study is really look at how rainfall interacts with a storm surge event. We're looking at a 2070 design storm that has both a storm surge from a hurricane raising the harbor levels, as well as a rainfall from that type of event, 100-year rainfall event happening at the same time. Because what we know from other communities around the country and from engineering studies is that as we provide a coastal line of protection, which we know and other storm surge events out at sea, is that as we build that line of protection at the water's edge, that's going to fundamentally change how the city's inland drainage system functions during a storm surge event. Because that water will kind of come down and have this raised edge that can create a little bit of a bathtub type effect inside the city that can fill up with rainwater if we don't modify the drainage system that the city currently uses to get that water out to the harbor. This plan on the map actually shows the effects of just rainfall happening in the Wharf District if we install a line of protection at the water's edge, do nothing else to the city's stormwater system. And I'll talk about that map and more about what the colors mean in a moment. So why does this matter right now? Well, there's a couple things going on that are really important right now. The Army Corps is currently advancing a flood study. They call it the Coastal Storm Risk Management Study, or CSRM. And they've been looking at a couple different places where that coastal line of protection can be located, as shown on the map. Again, we know that this is a very important study when you need a line of protection at the coast. We're obviously advocating for that teal line out at the water's edge there as opposed to the and blue line. But regardless, once we have a line of protection, we know as well that we need to modify the drainage system so we don't have flooding inlet. The Army Corps study does not look at drainage. So we want to make sure that that study incorporates or allows for the improvements we need to the city's drainage system. Additionally, the city of Boston is continuing to progress a number of coastal resiliency projects all around the city. You can take a look at their coastal resilience project tracker. I got the link there, and I'm sure we'll share these slides out after the presentation. But we also want to make sure that the city's projects incorporate stormwater drainage system improvements as we're advancing these important coastal resiliency projects. So what needs to happen? What specifically are we talking about when we're saying we need to modify the drainage system? Well, Boston Water and Sewer Commission recently produced a report. They call it the Coastal Stormwater Discharge Analysis Study. And those always big words, but Boston Water and Sewer has a study where they've looked at this and said, okay, here's what we need to do. And what's important for the Wharf District to know about is they want to install and are proposing a storage tank and pump system in Christopher Columbus Park. As well as tide gates, basically gates that close on all of their outfall pipes to the harbor so that the harbor water can't back up into their system. So they've produced, this is on an air map, this is the Boston Water and Sewer map. They produced a map that shows on the left the extensive flooding that will happen in the Wharf District if we construct a coastal line of protection and don't do anything to the drainage system. And everything in color is all flood extents. Everything in red is more than 2 feet of flooding.
And that's a 2070.
That's a 2070 storm surge event happening concurrently with a 2070 100-year rainfall event. So basically a hurricane. If you remember Winter Storm Grayson, that's a storm surge, but it was out at sea and there was no real rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be more like Hurricane Harvey or a Hurricane Katrina, where that storm actually comes onto land and we have the surge plus the rainfall.
Could this happen prior to 2070?
It could. It would be greater than a 1 in 100 chance event, which is what the design storm that the Army Corps looks at, that the city looks at. Because we know that these events, while they're referred to colloquially as like a 100-year event, there's I forget the numbers exactly, but it's like a 20 to 30% chance it happens within like a 20 or 30-year period. Don't quote me exactly on that. You get those numbers if you're interested, but it's a pretty significant chance that a storm like that happens over the course of a couple decades. So the image on the right shows a significant reduction in those bright colors. That means that flooding that would be expected from the rainfall in the Wharf District in the north end is reduced from what we see on the left. What we see on the right, if all we do is put in tide gates on the outfalls and put in a pump station and storage tanks at Christopher Columbus Park. Huge reduction in flooding between those pictures. But it doesn't totally solve the issue. There's still flooding through a number of areas of the Wharf District, in some cases exceeding 2 feet in flood depth. But very important projects there. Another project the commission is proposing is a storm surge barrier in the Fort Point Channel. This is basically a gate that closes before a hurricane or a storm surge arrives. So they close that gate at low tide when the water is low in the channel. And then we use the channel so all the rainwater in the surrounding areas can fill up and has a place to go, can use the channel as storage. And then after the storm surge recedes, we open the gates and let the channel drain out again. So it basically turns the channel into a huge detention pond. And again, the Boston Water and Sewer Commission has produced some maps to show the effect of this. And this, you can see the map on the left showing a sizable chunk of the city. Again, widespread flooding from rainfall alone on the left. And then if you provide the storm surge barrier in the Fort Point Channel, a drastic reduction in flooding. So that's a huge intervention. That is something that we believe the Army Corps is incorporating into their plan, and we very much support that. I mentioned that the Boston Water and Sewer Commission studies don't fully eliminate flooding in the Wharf District, so we're still advocating for the same things we were advocating for 3 years ago when we produced the Wharf District Council's resilience plan, which identified a number of additional stormwater storage tanks along the shoreline to store that rainwater. So on this plan, this was produced by Eric and the Wharf District Council. Over on the right in Christopher Columbus Park, you see we are still recommending that same storage tank and pump that Boston Water and Sewer Commission is presenting. But we're also proposing stormwater storage tanks at Central Wharf in front of the aquarium, a pipe to bring water from an existing outfall at Central Wharf over to some new storage tanks at Harbor Towers and an outfall at that location. So this is what we would recommend in kind of the first phase of work to be completed by the 2030s. And we also recommend in a second phase of work to start sometime in the 2040s to 2070s as we need to, as sea levels rise, putting more storage tanks underneath the decks here at Rose Wharf. So where there's water today, we put these stormwater storage tanks in that area to provide additional storage, and then also provide an outfall pipe from Rose Wharf along the water's edge over to the 4-point channel on the upland side of that new storm surge barrier, the 4-point channel. So I will take all that water from all those tanks, except for Columbus Park. I'll take all the rest of the water from all those tanks to the 4-point channel, where again we have all that extra storage now created with that storm surge barrier. So we're recommending these additional storage tanks be incorporated into the coastal resiliency that's being advanced here. Last few slides. So we developed a flood model to test various scenarios and see if there are benefits to doing what we proposed to do. This first map shows again the extensive flooding in blue and the depths of flooding at each impacted building in the Wharf District and a few in the north end there, showing with increasing gradations of red. So the dark red is 3 feet or more of flooding at an individual building. The lightest shade of red is up to 6 inches of flooding. So anything with even a little bit of pink is at least 6 inches. Dark red is 3 feet of flooding. So this is what happens if we do a coastal resiliency project with no drainage improvements, up to 46 inches of flooding in some places. This is what happens if we just do what Boston Water and Sewer Commission is proposing, which again, we are highly supportive of, but still shows flooding up to 24 inches of depth. And I'll flip between those two maps again to show the reduction in flooding from what happens if we do just a coastal line of protection, and what happens if we add the Boston Water and Sewer Commission pump station at Christopher Columbus Park and storm surge barrier or Aucoin channel. And then the final map shows where we get to if we add. So this brings us down to no more than 9 inches of flooding at the real low points in the district, and really eliminates the vast majority of that flooding. If we wanted to take this down to 0, by the way, we would need an additional pump station at Harbor Towers.
Eric, is this plan dependent on, or this projection is dependent on the green line?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, we do need both. We need that green line, that coastal line of protection, and the improvements to the drainage system to keep ourselves dry.
The water that's coming in, that's not from the harbor, is that because the piping and the drains are filling up?
Yeah, so
it's not just the rain hitting the land, it's the rain going into the current sewage system.
Yes.
Storm sewage system.
Yes, the maps that we're showing and saying if nothing is done, except a line of protection at the coast, that includes water backing up through the city's pipes and bubbling up into the city's streets from the harbor, as well as rain falling down and having nowhere to go because the city's pipes are now full of water.
How far back in the city is that water coming from? That Bay, Beacon Hill?
In the Wharf District, as far back as Beacon Hill. Yeah. So last slide, and then I'll hand over to Hytham to talk about our precedent studies. So when should this work happen? Well, I'll say first is we want to make sure that we are, as a community, advocating for the key stormwater improvements proposed by both Boston Water and Sewer Commission and the Wharf District Council. That includes the tide gates on all the city's outfall pipes, the pump at Christopher Columbus Park, the storm surge barrier in the Fort Point Channel, the stormwater storage tanks that Wharf District is proposing at Central Wharf, Rose Wharf, and Harbor Towers, and that outfall pipe from Rose Wharf to the Fort Point Channel. So those 5 things are what we need to advocate for as a community. And we want to make sure that they're included in the Army Corps' CSRM project. You can get some more info about that. The city has produced a nice story map at that link there that gives a little more info. Their draft report comes out this Friday. And that kicks off a public comment period from this Friday until September 18th. And I've got a link here where folks can go in and provide comments on that plan. And we'd love folks to say, we need these 5 things to be included. And additionally, the city of Boston, as they advance their own resiliency projects, we also want to make sure that these are incorporated and thought of in those projects as well.
So Derek, my guess is that the Army Corps doesn't do the Wharf District Council additional stuff unless Water and Sewer buys it first.
Correct.
So where are they on buying in on this?
So we have had conversations with Boston Water and Sewer Commission's consultant, Hazen and Sawyer, as well as John Sullivan at the commission. And in speaking with them, they are initially supportive of what we propose. They've noted that it really works well with what they've already identified. It's identifying improvements that they didn't think were possible and have only, because it's all on private land. But coming in with the Wharf District's plan, where we've been working directly with private property owners, and this is all stuff we've all vetted with those private property owners, they're saying, hey, this could be a great add-on to what we've already identified. The Boston Water and Sewer Commission would need to take this away. They're currently updating their own study. They would need to take this and look at it within the city's model, vet it themselves, and make sure they need to get comfortable that it works. So we want them to do that. But now that we've done this initial study, that's the next ask for them. But right now, they've been very supportive with the high-level information we've been able to share with them so far.
Thanks.
All right. So with that, I will hand over to Hytham to walk us through the precedent study.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious about these pumps. How does that compare to like, we all have some pumps in our dishwasher that move water around. What are all the scale of these?
Yeah, they're much larger. So they are comparable in size to what was recently installed for the Green Line extension. There are 2 pump stations, one at Washington Street and one at Redbridge. If you know the new community path that goes up and over the tracks.
Oh,
If you look down, there's like a weird grass hole in the ground. That's a detention basin. And just next to that, there's a pumping station. It's underground, almost identical sizes to those. And in terms of scale, they're probably, I've been down in the wetlands of those. They're about the size of this rope, but twice as tall. And then pumps as tall as me. Usually about 3 of them.
so like a couple million gallons an hour or something. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but our study is going to be up on the Wharf District Council's website very soon. We've just sent it to them this afternoon, so I'm sure it's not there right now if you go on right now, but it'll be up there very, very soon. And we have details about the exact basis of design for the pump stations that we're proposing at Harbor Towers. And it's got a link to the Boston Water and Sewer Commission's report, which will show you what they were proposing at Christopher Columbus Park.
Derek, there's a question in the chat from Sara McCammond. BWSC Fort Point Channel storm surge barrier is under Boston Water and Sewer, is under review by USACE. Is it part of the USACE CSRM? What a lot of abbreviations here. Is it part of the USACE CSRM draft release? Are there other Boston Water and Sewer or WDC flood solution dependent on USACE?
Great question. So we're expecting the Army Corps draft release to come out this Friday. We've been in close coordination with them, and they have been adopting the storm surge variant 4-point channel into their line of protection. So they think it's a great idea. They are including it. I do not know if that storm surge barrier will be part of their project or will advance as a separate project, also under the Army Corps. It may need to be split off as two separate projects. I expect the report on Friday will provide a little clarity on that.
Thank you. And thanks for the question, Sarah.
Yeah.
How can we help support in the public comment period through applying even from the Wharf District Council to help give this the boost that it needs? What can we do to help?
There will be multiple, I'm sure, meetings that Army Corps will hold this summer. Unfortunately, it's through the summer, only a week or two after Labor Day there. But there will be multiple meetings. So if you're able to attend those, and note that these drainage improvements, especially these 5 on the screen here, are included, that'd be great. There's also this link will go live on Friday. If you click on it right now, we'll just bring it to a page and say it's going to go live on Friday. But that link is the form that Army Corps uses to take comments. So those are 2 opportunities providing comment.
Yeah, so I'm sure the Wharf District Council is going to take a specific position on this and send in a comment letter from the council as well.
It's more being able to do the broadcast our mutual position to others too, and then see how we can get consensus support, because this is so for this a lot of work into this.
One really important consideration, and I don't know that we need to the Wharf District will certainly make this clear. This gets a little technical, but so that folks know what we're going to be advocating for. The Army Corps has noted that they're largely adopting the line of protection that we want, the one that we proposed in the 2023 Wharf District Resiliency Plan, with one exception in the Wharf District at Harbor Towers. Their line very closely follows the existing shoreline where we push out into the water, maybe 30 or so feet. And the reason we pushed out is specifically to provide those stormwater storage tanks, because that's a low point in the neighborhood and it's a really great place to collect that water. But the Army Corps doesn't look at drainage, so they didn't see the need to push out into the water there. We want to convince them that even if they're not building the tanks and these pumps, they need to provide us the space to not preclude us as a community, as a city, from doing that at some point.
Just wanted to add on, there is no local comment period, like you said, opens, July 24th, goes through September 18th. In addition to, Wharf District Council, I think, collectively putting something together, the city and Army Corps are very receptive to individual comments too. But like Derek said, they've set up a really easy to use form, hearing public comment period can sound a little overwhelming and sort of, like it's going to be an onerous process sometimes. They've set up a very easy to use form that really gets those comments directly to the leaders of the project pretty quickly. And the Army Corps and the city are going to be very responsive to those comments as well. So, good questions.
Yeah.
The other piece of this, there was an article we just circulated around the WBC yesterday. It came out, and it's this Wharf District Council is just one part of, as you mentioned in the beginning, the larger part of the resiliency for Boston that extends beyond the Wharf District Council's limits. How do we fit into that picture for just one piece of this? And how do we and together with the other neighborhood districts through the city to help gain the larger support, because there's national funding. I understand that there's, I think 2/3 of this is going to be funded by the federal government outside of Massachusetts, or that's what's on the table at least. So there's a big piece of funding that we could take advantage of that we don't have a good enough voice and enough consensus. So I would have support that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly the federal interest is going to be very concerned with the perception of property owners that whose land needs to be modified for a flood protection system. If they feel like property owners are gonna not provide easements so that they can go out and do the field investigations or provide easements for the permanent operation and maintenance of these systems, that's gonna be a big risk. So the more we can show them public support for these systems, and the more we as a community can talk to our neighbors, especially waterfront property owners or anywhere the Army Corps is proposing this land, and say, hey, we as a community need this, and we gotta get behind this, and we know it's disruptive, and we know it's gonna be tough. But the alternative is not acceptable, and we gotta find it. The more we can show the Army Corps that the community is gonna be with them, the more they're gonna be willing to take those steps and give us a flood protection system that actually provides us a waterfront that's also beautiful and accessible. Otherwise, they're gonna quickly turn to solutions that are just flood walls at roadways, which is what we see in many projects around the country. So,
Why is the aquarium in Harvard on white and Harvard Towers two red?
the aquarium was actually cleared up in most of the buildings in the area. If you walk out on Central Plaza, the plaza floods, but that building really rises up to about elevation 11 in AVD 88 pretty quickly. So that the building itself, the water might lap the front door in these scenarios, but doesn't actually hit the first floor elevation. Whereas the other buildings are actually at a much lower elevation over there.
Oh, Harvard one is also quite.
Harbor Towers 1, we didn't include the elevation on the Harbor Walk because the building is,
Back here? Okay. If I'm reading Tower two, red tower one's white.
yeah, the way we developed these maps is we looked at the ground elevation from the city's topography at the edge of the building and looked at the flood depth above that. So if the city's topography shows a slight difference in elevation of the ground, not the first floor, but the ground at those buildings, then there'd be a different flood depth indicated for different buildings. So there's probably something to that effect. I know for Harvard, for the Harvard Towers building closest to the water here, we were looking at the ground elevation primarily over on this side, as opposed to on the water's edge, because we plan to raise that up when we built the coastal line of protection.
These are great questions. I know we have another part of the presentation, right?
Yeah, I'd like to jump over to my colleague Hytham, who's led, I think, a fantastic study of precedent projects, similar projects. So,
But I need to give him.
do we want to try to wrap up right at 5:45, like you have on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so Hytham, if you can take us through in about 8 minutes or so, or like 8 to 10 minutes, that'd be awesome.
I'll try to go through the fun stuff.
Thank you, Hytham.
No problem. Let me see if I'm sharing the right screen. Can y'all see my screen?
Coming.
Coming in? It's coming in right? Can you hear me well?
Yes, and if you could go to full screen mode.
Yes. Cool. Cool. So my name's Hytham Shada. I am a senior engineer at Arup. I have worked as a coastal resilience engineer for the last 6-7 years around the country and world. Won't get too deep into bio. We only got a couple of minutes, but it was really fascinating to see how well your community is coming together relative to other communities around the world that are struggling with similar issues as you. We'll share this after the meeting. I was going to fly you through it a little bit, but there is a nationwide database that we made for you across 48 coastal communities, 167 projects in total, with links to project pages that show you a status today of a lot of these projects, knowing that a lot of funding has dramatically changed in the last year or so, and understanding their current status and what they are doing is kind of how we started. I added a couple slides as we were going just to kind of give you some ideas and context around what I feel some of the questions you had. Sea level rise is an interesting concept when it comes to the day-to-day. As Derek said, the 2070s really serve as a moment of change. As you can see on here, each of these columns represent different sea level rise curves. And most of the design scenarios for Boston were around the high sea level rise scenario. And as you can see, the tidal range, which is the height of each of these bars, up until 2050s is relatively the same. It's really once you get into the 2070s, 2080s, and 2100s that cities really need to start considering which sea level rise curve is what they want to decide on. But this is just a little bit of an index for you to understand why we started looking out other cities, other projects are looking at adaptation over time and understanding how static edges are really becoming more hybrid and understanding how the compound flooding effect is being designed around it. A little bit of a definition, just to give y'all a little more context. Some cities have looked at just dry flood proofing important buildings, basically making the edges and the heights of buildings flood proof. Some are looking at line of protections like your city, and some are looking at elevating or letting certain buildings flood while having critical systems be raised. And these kind of coalesced into a series of things that we looked at in more detail around the line of protection, if there are cities that have similar context. And we have a full report we'll share to you after this. But the real kind of benchmarks that we felt were important to compare in the sense of, is it something that they are doing similar to the Wharf District, or is it something the Wharf District does not want that we can learn from, is the way that we filtered through those projects. We gave a series of scoring, understanding that each of these projects have different levels of protection, different drainage aspirations and urban realm aspirations. And we narrowed them down to about 13 projects. These projects, 8 of them, we gave a larger but not as detailed description. And there are 5 projects that I was going to try to maybe dive into 1 or 2 that we can talk about how they relate the most, especially when it comes to the implementation. I'll pause here. I know that was a blast. I wasn't sure if anyone wanted to jump in for anything quick that you'd want me to jump back to. And I could slow down too. I just want to be conscious of time.
Carry on.
Cool. So these projects right here were fascinating in a serious sense. I'll linger on this page more than I wanted to because I don't think we'll go through each slide in detail. But New York City Seaport's the first one we'll go through. This is a project that's a little close to my heart. I worked on it for about 5 years on the owner's side of it, where we were trying to evaluate what the engineer was proposing, how the design horizon and the target completion dates align with the development, and the different impacts outside of the line of protection that should be considered. We also looked at Norfolk, which really presents a perspective in how the federal government may need to adapt to the community's needs. We looked at Hoboken, which kind of flipped the whole thing on its head, where they built a less impactful edge and put more money into parks inward to give more resilience. And then Charleston, South Carolina is a project I helped with as well that really tried to layer in a historical context to a future adaptation that allows people to still get close to the water. They'll catch a yawl out of me every once in a while. And that project really shows a good continuity. And then finally, forgive me for always messing this word up, Embarcadero and Fisherman's Wharf, surprisingly are very, very close to the Wharf District in their design and structure, and also their ability to find a federal government buying into these ideas like your community is doing right now. In the reports, you'll see all these different factors layered out to each one. I'll start with the Seaport Coastal Resilience, just high level. They are literally permitting this as of last week. I pulled this table from something that was dated like a week ago. The South Seaport in Lower Manhattan is actually an old kind of edge, a slip. I'll jump to a couple of slides that may give you some ideas. It really represented an old marshland, a wetland that, funnily enough, followed Water Street. And as things were built out and filled in, this is an image from the 1920s, a series of piers. Being rich in New York meant you were close to your boat. And so a series of piers, a series of wharfs really are built up and driving the economy in the region. But now, as these piers are coming back, the FDR is crumbling. The community is trying to understand what can they do and consider it something that can provide continuity, but also give a public space. Kind of what they are really considering that is a large driving factor in this district specifically is tidal flooding and stormwater flooding is a more immediate impact. and the coastal benefits of having a barrier is something that needed to be balanced with that factor. And so after a couple of years of back and forth with the city, and understanding how elevations of this district have different levels of resilience needs, especially since everything was filled up, it made a bathtub in the middle. The developers and the community board worked together, released a report, I helped draft it, where we try to discuss, can we think about a system that is more integrated, even if it takes more effort? That was already in the works. It wasn't like the city wasn't considering that larger, outer, bigger a job, but it required filling about 150, 200 feet into the water. So this interim step was something they were considering for as long as they had funding. The funding dried up, it's stuck in a lawsuit, but the city is still continuing with the idea around now maybe a phase 2 protection is the direction they need to go. One of the biggest aspects of a coastal barrier that was discussed in all of that was, even if you find a way to layer in program to inland protection, find a way to put skate parks or seating, if you are hemmed in a way that doesn't allow you to consider people walking across the street or people taking their bike around the peninsula, if you find a way to design around that, you can work with the Army Corps, you can work with the community, and together come up with a more comprehensive solution. There's a lot more detail on that in the report. I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the high points. And Norfolk, Virginia is kind of the opposite of that, where you can kind of see, I was saying it earlier, they put paint on a pig a little bit with the walls themselves, put a couple of windows and tried to find a way to better integrate it to the community's needs. But there has been lots of pushback. This project has been into work for over, I think, like 10 years at this point. But the reality of what needed to get built was something that started already. The city themselves have been working to put in pump stations, flood protection inland, because without those, the outward barrier would cause greater problems for the community. As they were doing that, the city worked with the community to try to understand their needs, and when the final Army Corps study came out, it was shown that there are certain communities that weren't protected. Many of the BCA or benefit cost analysis and federal studies tend to lean on property values more than secondary values. Part of that is it's more difficult to quantify. Part of that is some engineers or Army Corps may not have been scoped to do that. Some of that literally takes an act of Congress. And so in 2023, the city attached an equity resolution that the federal government agreed to not only reevaluate the alignment and the protection that is happening, but considering community history and culture along those values. Right across the pond for me, or river for me, is Hoboken. In Hoboken, I'll probably jump to this, will give you a better idea.
Jump in.
Haytham?
Yeah.
Hey, Haytham.
This has all been very relevant and interesting, but I think Derek's going to probably wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here. I think we're going to have to leave with a little bit of a teaser on what's to come here, because there's a fantastic report, but I think we are coming up on time. But yeah, if you can actually just share your screen again real quick and just put it on the map, the nationwide map, though. Really appreciate it. Sorry to cut you off, but no. So what I want for just quick takeaways here is we've got a deep dive on a number of projects that are very relevant. What we found in all 13 of our benchmark projects is all but one included drainage improvements, not just a line of protection. Some of them included fill in water, like in New York. And some of them had to go back to the drawing board and redesign because of community pushback against an Army Corps plan like happened in Miami-Dade. We've seen some great precedents. In each of these studies, there's a little blurb that says lessons for the Wharf District, where there's, if you want, interested in what's relevant there. And last thing I want to say, just to channel Mark Margulies a little bit, who gave us this assignment. I know it's his real hope that as folks are looking, and Haytham, if you can bring up the actual website with the nationwide plans on the screen, that this becomes a useful database for other folks trying to advance flood resiliency, whether it's here in the Wharf District or in other neighborhoods of Boston or beyond Boston. We've created an interactive map that you can go and click on who's doing what for coastal resiliency around the country to help communities connect with each other. Maybe you can say, hey, let's go talk to this community about their lessons and see how we can work together and build off of the collective effort that we've been advancing towards flood resiliency as a nation. So this website, we're looking to get published up on the Wharf District Council site. So you can go in and see, I think we've got over 46, 48 different programs around the country in there right now.
That's an amazing data point about all these projects that do include flood, I'm sorry, the terminology is escaping me, but the flood mitigation.
Yeah, the drainage improvements, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a remarkable work. I am curious, so are you looking internationally as well?
We focus just on the United States because we know that the Army Corps is going to be interested in understanding where other projects that have advanced through the permitting processes and the Army Corps processes and met the Army Corps standards around the country. So as we're advocating for changes to Army Corps, we focus nationally. Not that there aren't great things to learn internationally, but we also have to kind of fence post ourselves a little bit here as well. So.
Well, this was fascinating and very helpful information.
Can I just add, this is the beginning. This is not presenting this to you and then we move on to something else. This is the beginning of what information the community needs, because we're going to have to make decisions as a community. And based on what we're seeing, we're looking at changing the face of our waterfront.
That's right. And it's the same issue that many communities have faced. We're not alone in that. There's a lot we can learn, and there's a lot that we can do as a community to influence that process and what the waterfront looks like at the end of all this.
And I think that's an important piece that we need to make sure we keep on top of.
Absolutely.
But thank you for the wonderful work you've done.
Yes.
For this and also the original study that you did for us.
Oh, very welcome. And again, thank you from Eric for the ability to work with you all. It's a fantastic community, and it's been, all of this work has been the most rewarding of my professional career to date. So thank you.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Haytham, and for this evening, we do have to move on. I mean, we're not moving on forever, but just for this evening.
Right, exactly.
All right, thank you so much. And so we're going to move on to Children's Museum, and
I'm gonna try and share.
great, okay.
Like mom.
And Robin, your last name is
Meisner.
Meisner, okay. And we have and also Charlene is here. Nice to have you as always. Well, there you are, Robin Meisner.
No, I'm good. It's better when I stand. We heard.
There you go. Well done.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me in the back? Amazing. My name is Robin Meisner. I'm the Senior Director of Exhibits at Boston Children's Museum, and I belong to two people in this room. If you know who they are, you win. If not, just look around. My colleague Charlene Morel-Smith, most of you know her. Charlene is our VP of everything, and will answer all the questions that you might have about things that I didn't know about. But the reason that Susanne invited us here today is to share with you about a new exhibit that we have at the museum. And this might seem like a very sudden shift from what Derek was just talking about, but it's actually not. And you'll see why in just a moment. So, at Boston Children's Museum, for those who are not familiar, first of all, can you raise your hand if you've been to the Children's Museum, please? Amazing. You need to come. And just one person. Okay, so our mission, joyful, playful learning. We are about learning. We serve children birth to 10, the adults in their lives, so their parents, caregivers, and their educators. 96% of our visitors come in family groups. 33% come for free or reduced admission. 72% of our audience is ages 6 or under. So we skew very, very young, but that's important. Over 50% of our visitors are the adults in children's lives. So we have as much of a chance to impact children as we do their adults who impact them all the time. And for you all, 21% come from Boston. What we're going to talk with you about today is the new exhibit that we have. Now, Boston Children's Museum is 113 years old. We've only been here since the late 70s. And somewhere we have a photo of my brother dancing at the opening of the milk bottle on the plaza. So to give you a sense, when the museum first opened, one of the exhibits in there was called City Slice. We've always had an interest in building and construction. Children and adults love understanding how the world works. So this was the first one. Apparently, I think I love climbing down the stairs, but I cross every time I wanted to go down.
Yes.
We then changed that one out. We put in construction zone, which was at the museum for over 25 years. And if you've been there in the past 25 plus years, you've been to construction zone. It was built at the time of the Big Dig in order to help people come downtown. So it was a partnership between construction, the city, and the museum to try and get people to understand you could still come down and you could learn about construction. This exhibit has gone through many changes at the museum, and it was beloved by 2 to 6 year old boys, millions of them. But we knew we could and should do better. So we said goodbye to construction zone this spring. And we actually asked our visitors to share some memories. So for those of you who can't read in the back, as a boy, I always wanted to do construction simply because of this room. I am 37 years old and I do construction now. So if you don't think that play doesn't impact children's lives and the decisions they make, that is a great piece of evidence. I'm a 24-year-old mom of 2. I grew up here and I played in construction zone. My favorite memory is watching my own children play here. So to give you a sense, this is what the impact is, and that's what we did to it. We tore it down. We broke some parts, but it's okay. Because next, which just opened about 3 weeks ago, we have Dream It, Build It. The big idea, the main message of this exhibit is we, all of us, and this is a perfect example, we have the power and ability to dream up, design, and build things that make the world a better place. What we do, what we choose to do affects people, animals, plants, and everything else around us. The target age of this exhibit is 4 to 8 year olds and the adults in their lives. That said, as you might remember, I said most of our kids are 6 and under. We care about them too. We care about those babies and we care about older kids. By age 6, children have already heard messages and made decisions about what is for them and what is not for them, what they want to do, what they shouldn't want to do. They already know if they want to be an engineer or if they think they should play with blocks because people tell them that. What we're aiming to do is maybe we'll make the next engineers, maybe we'll make the next informed, thoughtful citizens who are coming to meetings like these. Or maybe we'll just make somebody who thinks that's fun to decorate their bedroom, and that's fine too. We want to give children the opportunities to do all of these things. Now, you should all come see the exhibit, but to give you a sense, we designed it and we built it. We dreamed it, we designed it, and we built it with lots of partners from across Massachusetts and further afield. And I'm going to go through this super fast, which is why I was doing it this way instead of trying to get Matt to keep up with me. This is what is in the exhibit. So we've got Dream City, which is, we don't do a lot of digital things at the museum because we believe in hands-on as the way for children to learn best, but we use technology as a tool when technology is the best tool. So in this, we want kids to understand that their ideas matter and what they want to have in their city matters. And so this is a chance for them to dream up and design something and add it to our shared city. We've got a design challenge, and this is where we're trying to get kids and adults, so a lot of adults are pretty not good at this, to think about designing for someone or something else, to take the perspective of another, to care about another, and think about them in their design. So for this, we're doing the pictures that I have up, some are from our prototyping, when we were testing it out, and some are from the new exhibit. And what we're doing here is we're giving the kids different challenges over time. This one is a squirrel who's house got destroyed in the storm, his nest got destroyed in the storm, and he needs your help to do it. And so we have kids who are designing all sorts of fantastic new things. And my favorite was the one who put a microphone in front of a squirrel. And when I asked him what it was, he said, well, Robin, it's Taylor Swift. Tiger, which helps kids get a sense and adults about the range of materials that go into design and construction. And for this, we partnered with Youth Build Boston, which is an amazing organization nation worldwide, but our local chapter is fantastic. And we worked with youth for whom high school is not the pathway for them. They're interested in going into design, architecture, and the trades, and they go through this, they get their GEDs, and they help build something at the Children's Museum. They've done an amazing job, and if you go onto the website, you can see more about their work. We created sensory notes, and this is where you get a sense for yourself of how design choices make you feel. So you go into these little pods, these little like space pods, and you can change the sound, the light, the colors, and the shape of the pods to see how it makes you feel in those spaces. We've got green spaces, which is a chance for kids to be able to build with more green and blue, with more places to play and parks and water, and think about the environment within the built environment, to be able to make the choice to leave the green and the blue in there. When you ask 5-year-olds what they think their cities needs, parks, playgrounds, places to play, places to be. We've got a dollhouse from our collection. If you don't know, the museum has a collection of over 30,000-ish objects. We're counting. And we pulled down one of the dollhouses that is particularly interesting. It's made of 33 different types of wood. Do not ask to name them all. And it also was made by a retired plumber. So this dollhouse has a full system for heating in the basement, not cooling. It was before that time. So it's actually quite fun to look, and of course we filled it with Entrace items of our own. We've got then the build side of it. So we've done dream design, now we're at build. And so we've got our build job site. So if you were thinking, well, they used to have podcasts, do they still have podcasts? Yes, we do. But we put them into a setting so that the kids can be able to take part in the whole job site, to be able to play all the roles and to move a ton of bricks. Because if you think about what a 4-year-old would like to do, they would just like to move bricks. So we gave them that chance, because actually on a job site, that is one of the most important jobs, to be able to have the materials when you need it, where you need it. So we've got pulleys and buckets and trash chutes and our jackhammer and a whole place for a pretend play scenario. Then you go inside our partial structure. We've got brick building. We've got peeled away layers so you can see what's inside the walls, and they are up to code. I've checked, except for which is going straight through a cold water line. It's pretend, but it would be a leak. We've got 3 different sections for plumbing, electrical, and roofing. We have Magic Painter, which is one of the other magical moments in the space, where we know, because if you come to Curiosity Kitchen, kids love to paint with real rollers and real brushes. We can't do that in the exhibit. They would make a mess. So instead, we partnered with a design company to be able to do this with real rollers and real brushes, just not real paint. We have Johnny's Workbench, which has been at the museum for a very long time. And we've moved it from the 2nd floor into this exhibit so that we can have it within a context of dreaming, designing, and building. So this is a chance for kids to be able to use real hand tools. This is also a space, and I didn't mention this as much at the beginning, but this is a space where we are trying to get more girls and more children of color interested in all of these fields. And one of the ways that we want to do that is to think about contextualizing all of this. So that tool mural that's up there, you can't tell it's tools. Those flowers and the sun, those are made with real tools. And when I say real tools, I mean real tools. Milwaukee gave us a lot of tools, and we worked with Artists for Humanity, a bunch of teams, to come up with how can we showcase these tools in a way that is going to be attractive for all. We've got a set of 14 profiles of workers, of different construction workers from around the state doing different jobs. We've got resilience engineers. We have architects, designers, all sorts of folks talking about their jobs, their roles, and also what they love to do as people. Because one way to get kids and adults into understanding what these roles are and what these people could be is to find out something else that a kid might connect to. Like if I asked you what your favorite dinosaur is,
kind of source.
There you go, right there, connections to library, right? So there's other ways to connect people, and then they might start a conversation and want to learn more. So we've got these videos all throughout the space, and we've got spaces for our youngest visitors as well, who just want to play with trucks and blocks, and we love that. So we gave them lots of trucks and blocks, and of course we want a space for our infants, because everything starts young. Our babies, our birth to 15-month-olds need to be able to develop and practice the skills to be the kids, to do these things, to become Derek if they want to. So for this, it's practicing fine motor skills. So you can use tools and pencils and paper and all of that, and also materials exploration. So we've got those little ones in that space as well. So if you all come, you will be able to see the space and play in the space, and also be able to help see the ways that you can support kids in becoming the next designers, builders, engineers, architects, and concerned citizens.
Fantastic.
I've got one more thing up here as a pitch in case you've forgotten from a couple months ago when my colleague Catherine was sharing with you. If you come by the museum, we do have Curiosity Kitchen outside, and it is a messy mud play, soggy, rainy day kind of thing. And 100 Acre Wood is at the museum through the end of the summer, as well as 201. You probably noticed the pedal boats outside the museum. Tomorrow, the white one will be named Carol, after Carol Charnow, who is our director, CEO, who is retiring after 16 years. So the Pelican will become Carol tomorrow, or Carol will become a Pelican. Stop there because I've now already gone. Sounds like you should have one of your meetings.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Steering the boats.
When you say who's steering the boat, do you mean the helm? Yeah. Well, so Carol is our CEO, of course. And then we have our incoming CEO, is Melissa Higgins. But do you mean how we decide what we're making and doing exhibits?
Well, I see.
Good question.
Oh,
They're pedal boats. They're pedal boats.
But who's actually?
The people inside.
Oh, you mean the
And
pedal boat?
boats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pedal boats.
You steer them yourselves.
So the parents.
Or the kids,
What
whatever. Or lots of grown-ups, it's $25 an hour, you could go rent one, you could ride hard.
Yeah, and we're getting 2 more because they're so popular.
Now, could they escape?
So
barriers, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we put it in like a the ducks.
so they can't. It's
So they can, but it's not our problem, that's Charles River.
Thanks again, Robin.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Tradesman Coffee Shop is here. Are they online? Is it, sorry, Bridget? Bridget, are you online? Bridget Duval? Or is Bridget in the room? They may not be here at the moment, so we'll, last call. Bridget, are you on the call? All right, we'll move on. And Yamba, you're saying that correctly? Yamba? Yamba, electric scooter. Oh, there you are. Hi there, I didn't get a chance to say hello to you yet. Well, are you Andrew? It's me. Great. Andrew Nashed is here from Yamba Electric Scooter Rentals at 199 State Street. And yeah, Andrew, why don't you, you have a presentation?
I do.
Oh, great.
Once that and
Sure.
that the Wi-Fi kiosk to destroy that.
Okay. 199 State Street, I'm trying to visualize where that is.
That's where the, like, right at the corner of the street.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
same way things are.
I also, while Andrew's getting there ready, I wanted to recognize, here you are, that's you.
Yep.
I want to recognize Erickson Hilaire, who's here from Councilor Julia Mejia's office. Hello, Erickson. Thank you for being here tonight. And Maria Perez, our neighborhood rep for the neighborhood services, is here. Maria, always nice to see you.
Good afternoon,
And
everyone.
hey there. And thanks as always to Flory for being here. And there's We have our presentation up. So Andrew, are you able to? Can you get your mic on down there, or do I need to have you here?
What's better for you to watch?
Yeah, there's a mobile, microphone down here. On the meter, so it's curious. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for this meeting and for having me. I'm Andrew. I'm with Yamba Rentals. Super quick bio about me. This is going to be super random, but I'm actually an internal medicine physician. I work for a family bureau. However, 3 years ago, I came across electric scooter. Well, 7 years ago I did, but 3 years ago I realized there's a huge need in all of New England for electric scooter repair. We're the only shop in all of New England for all the scooters that you see out there. Whenever they break down, they have to come to us. So they come from Maine, they come from Rhode Island. We're really building an industry in terms of the service sector. I have one shop in Cambridge, a second shop at 199 State Street, where the Boston Segway Tours shop is as well. And just wanted to share a little bit about what we do. We provide electric scooter rentals as well as mobility equipment for tourists alike. Our electric kick scooters, people, use them for a couple of different things. The two big buckets are locals that just want something to do for an hour or so. They'll come in groups of 3 or 4, ride around, have a good time, then, and then drop the scooters back off. And then tourists will do it for a whole day. And so for them, it's perfect because, they don't have to worry about public transportation. They don't have to worry about Ubers. They don't have to worry about parking. They can just come in, grab a scooter, ride around for the entire day, lock them up, depending on if they're going somewhere for lunch or going to see a museum. A lot of them will keep it overnight, bring it to their hotels, and so they'll rent it out for 3-4 days. And it really takes care of, being able to see as much of Boston and do as much as possible in the shortest time. And so we get a lot. This is not to brag, but the feedback is always like, this is the best decision we've made while we were here. So, we'll really, really love, using the scooters to get around. Also on the other end is our mobility equipment. And so also helping people to get around. So we do mobility scooters, we do wheelchairs, knee scooters, walkers. We deliver all over the city. And so anyone coming in that needs ways to get around, we try to keep our prices nice and cheap, depending on what they are. All the prices are on our website, some sample reviews, and that's a picture of the outside area. So the Boston Segway Tours shop is split into 2 enterprises, and so Boston Segway Tours as well as Yamba Rentals. And so for tourists that want to do tours on the Segways, maybe Paul and I, the owners, will come in at a future meeting and present to you guys, and then Yamba Rentals also sharing this.
Are there 2 separate companies, or one company divided into 2 departments?
So I had purchased Boston Segway Tours in 2024, so 2 years ago. And then I wanted to separate the companies, and so I split them, sold Boston Segway Tours to the new operators, and I kept half, which is purely focused on rentals.
Interesting. Okay. By the way, I used to be general manager of Old Town Trolley, so
Oh, really?
I'm very familiar with that space.
Yeah,
There.
yeah, and you guys saw the kiosk right there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I wanted to personally focus my efforts on scooters. That's kind of where I see myself scaling over time. So I just wanted to be a little bit more focused on my business efforts.
Do you make sure that they know how to ride the scooter before you keep it?
It's an very.
Absolutely. So there's a it's very, very intuitive. In other cities where you can just pick them off the streets, people just immediately start riding. There's a handful of people that come in and say, hey, this looks interesting. I want to try it out. There's a giant bike lane right in front of the shop. And so we'll walk them out. We'll teach them how to do it. They're comfortable. They'll go for it. They're not. They'll go, yeah, maybe it's not for me. And then they'll just drop it back off to the shop.
Chris Cook has his hand up. Hold on, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much for the presentation. Congratulations on the business. I'd be remiss, and I would hear it from the Wharf District Council members if I didn't encourage you to remind folks, given the proximity of your location, but also the images that are in your presentation, that motorized scooters aren't allowed on the Rose Kennedy Greenway, encourage the folks to use the bike lanes. Obviously, the huge exception to that and very important exception to that is any mobility, accessibility, equipment that you're renting out. We want to make sure that we're as welcoming and as accessible as possible. So thank you very much for your continued cooperation with that. We really appreciate it.
So we get that question all the time. People ask, where can we ride? We always tell them bike lanes, or if there's no bike lanes, then the right side of the street. We tell them scooters are not allowed in the parks. We make that very, very obvious. We have a map that we hand out with our rentals that shows all the bike paths throughout the city. And we tell them, follow the green. That way you're not on the sidewalks. And for the most part, people, are compliant. It's just like people that, own scooters at the end of the day. You can't tell people what to do, but we definitely do our best to share that message. And we want to continue to see, people riding it safely and in the correct places. I personally ride my scooter everywhere. And I understand that it's much easier to ride on a bike lane than it is the sidewalk. So I encourage everyone else to do the same.
Joanne Hayes-Rines has a question from Christopher Columbus, friends of Christopher Columbus Park.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo Chris's remarks related to Christopher Columbus Park and any other park. I'm sure when they rent the bicycles to people, I'm not sure. Maybe they don't tell them not to go into parks, but we have, long lines of bicycles riding through the park. And as Susanne alluded, sometimes somebody hasn't been on a bike in 15 years, and you can tell. But it's just really dangerous when you're mixing a bicycle with pedestrians, but a motorized vehicle a motorized scooter is really scary. So I would really hammer that home to people.
I mean, so the vast majority of the bikes that you're probably seeing in the city are the City of Boston Blue bikes. Those are, in the thousands. There are other, bike shops that are renting throughout the city as well. We rent out electric kick scooters. They're, obviously part of that motorized package, but we do everything that we can. And we're open to suggestions. If you guys have ideas of how we can help, our renters, be very, very clear, don't be in the parks. We're happy to take whatever suggestions you guys, can offer. But, keep in mind, the biggest population of motorized vehicles you're seeing out there are the electric bikes from the blue bike stations.
Any other questions, comments for Andrew? Well, Andrew, congratulations on your business, and I'm glad it's doing well. And thing that I would suggest, and maybe at some point you could report back to us. I mean, obviously you're here as the owner and company, but I'm sure you have like managers who work for you and frontline folks who are renting out the vehicle. Scooters. And I guess, as Joanne said, hammer that home in terms of having a consistent way of conveying that message.
What we could do is put stickers on them that would feel like do not ride on the sidewalk. Yeah. So every time they look down, they're like, oh shoot, I should have been on the sidewalk.
That's great. I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but that's a great idea. So thank you for taking that as a follow-up. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Sure. And I just want to go back to tradesmen. Did Bridget Duvall join the meeting? No? Okay. And all right. MOTW, which must stand for something. There he is. Hi there. MOTW Coffees and Pastries. Are you Connor?
Confer.
Yes, Connor. Nice to see you. You're welcome. Did you find access?
I do, yes. I'm in the Zoom meeting, so I will share my screen.
At 45 Broad Street.
45 Broad Street.
What was the previous like?
It used to be a Starbucks.
Oh, yes. I know they very built it. Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sara McCammond. I am here on behalf of MOTW Coffee and Pastries. MOTW stands for Muslims of the World. It's a nonprofit organization that does a bunch of humanitarian work. I'll kind of get deeper into that in a minute. But this is a for-profit company that provides a coffee franchise.
So what do people call it? How?
It's an acronym. MOTW Coffee Pastries.
So if I were going there, what would I say to somebody? I'm going to
MOTW. Yeah, most people just refer to it as MOTW. But yeah, full name is MOTW Coffee and Pastries is the name of our franchise. So we actually have, my wife and I actually own our first franchise in Shrewsbury. We've had it since August of 24. We're actually coming up just on 2 years here on the 10th. We have over 600 reviews on our Google page, 4.8 rating. The community really loves us. Yeah, it's been a great run in Shrewsbury, but we have a lot of folks that really like our concept and come out to Shrewsbury today from the Boston area. And so we've had a lot of folks saying, hey, can we open one closer to the city? We actually live in Andover ourselves, so it's only a 20-minute commute down from there. So we've been kind of scouting the location for a while and stumbled upon the Starbucks opportunity. And so we're trying to build out the next location there. So we got introduced to the 45 Broad Street location by my real estate agent that was actually helping us scout locations. So funny enough, we had actually driven past this, I don't know, a million times, right? Because we would spend time at the Quincy Market, walk past this building, and never thought that, you know, one day we'd consider putting a shop there. But the space that we offer is really the third space concept where we want to have folks be able to get a premium, you know, coffee and pastry experience, along with a place to work from, and just a sense of community where folks can hang out. And our hours of operation do operate later than a typical coffee shop. So we on the weekdays in Shrewsbury we go till 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday nights we're open till 11:30 currently. And you know, there's no alcohol, so it's like a alcohol-free place for folks to hang out who are kind of wanting to stay away from the bar scene. In terms of what we offer, so we have a lot of premium coffee offerings. All of your specialty coffees, lattes, you know, espresso based drinks we offer. In addition to that, we also offer matcha and something called adini chai. It's actually a Yemeni based recipe. So the franchise founder's wife is Yemeni, and so there's the original chai recipe that her grandmother was making, and so that is one of our core specialty drinks that we offer. We also offer on the pastry line Dubai chocolate cake, Dubai chocolate, tiramisu, tres leches, and a bunch of baklava and other offerings. And then we also have savory empanadas, which I don't have on the screen here, but there's a picture right over there, which are really popular as well. So in terms of, you know, our experience in Shrewsbury so far, it's been wonderful. You know, we've had a very loyal following in Shrewsbury. We have a ton of great reviews in terms of the experience that our patrons have gotten. Our staff is strictly, you know, adheres to the safe practices, you know, follows all the Board of Health regulations, and maintains the space in a very meticulous manner. And we want to try to do the same here at 45. So as I mentioned earlier, MOTW began as a nonprofit organization. So if you go on Muslims of the World, the Instagram page, you'll see a ton of humanitarian work that the organization has done throughout the world, globally and locally. So within within the US, there's many efforts that have been done, such as food drives, fundraising. So and a portion of the company proceeds do still go to the nonprofit, but again, the coffee shop arm of the company is for. All right. So why am I here? I'm obviously here to introduce myself to the council here as we've started our build process and the interior fit out of the space. I went to Maria Perez, I think she's on the call right now, and we're looking to get a CD license to begin operation of the space. So we would like to encourage any questions that you have and get your support in being able to open our space.
What is the timeline for?
Yeah, so
starting.
Great question. So I obviously in our self-interest, it's ASAP, but the Starbucks fit up has given us a lot of runway to accelerate that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably looking at, I think the fit up should be done in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Like, it's not a ton of work left on the interior. And I actually have some pictures to show you what that looks like. So this is what we're envisioning. So it's actually very similar to the old Starbucks layout. So this will be, the the Broad Street entrance at the Water Street entrance right over there. We're still going to keep that handicap elevator accessible. None of the bathroom layouts are changing. We're going to keep the bar in the relatively the same space that it was, whether it was Starbucks. And seating against the wall, there's one handicap accessible table right there. So that's the overall layout. This is kind of the current state of build. So we're still waiting final sign-offs and inspections to be able to put the bar in. But there's a mural there. There's some artwork going up there. We're just highlighting some of the key Boston scenes and the things that we offer. And then here is a mural along the wall as you walk in from the Water Street entrance. So it's yes, sir.
Sounds like an awesome place. Look forward to trying. Is the name of the one in Shrewsbury also MOTW Coffee?
It is, yes. So it's a franchise dimension. So we have the rights to both the Shrewsbury and the Boston one now. There is another operator that's down in Quincy. That's a separate franchise.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your background prior to getting involved in coffee? How did you come to be doing this?
So I have a healthcare IT background. So I do software. I actually work for an AI company now. And I still do that full time. A coffee shop is something that my wife and I kind of co-manage off the side of our desk. But yeah, we've had a phenomenal team that helps us run the operations down in Shrewsbury. But yeah, I have healthcare IT background, but I've always been a coffee connoisseur. So it was a natural fit for us to get into. Yes, sir.
What distinguishes your offering of other?
Sure, yeah. So our menu offerings are a little unique. We still offer all the traditional things that like a Starbucks or Dunkin's might offer. But we have like the empanadas are South American. So they're originally from original Argentinian recipes. So we've got a whole host of different flavors there. Our pastry offerings are also pretty unique. We also offer like trendy items such as those 3D fruit pastries. And so the menu concept is constantly evolving to stay on with the Gen Z millennial trends. So that's how we differentiate ourselves. And then most importantly, like from a space standpoint, it is truly a third space where folks will hang out and spend a lot of time. So we have a lot of folks that will literally just use our coffee shop in Shrewsbury as a work from home, so to speak, and they'll hang out there for hours, and we really like to serve the community that way.
Any other questions?
Is there any outdoor seating?
We have not applied for outdoor seating at the moment. Maybe at some point in the future, but not right.
Well, having worked on that street for a long time, I just want to say it's a positive to have a business opening in what was previously an empty space,
Sure.
An unused space. When you have a building that sits without being used, it just detracts from the vibrancy of the neighborhood. So
Absolutely, yeah.
I commend you for taking that on.
Appreciate that.
Anything else? So, yeah, you're looking for a letter
Letter of support.
Yes.
Chris?
Okay, what we do is when after the meeting is over, the board will vote and then.
Sounds good. Any other questions I can answer for folks?
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Very much.
Thank you. Excellent. MOTW. So we have some Wharf District neighborhood news. And Chris Cook, are you still here?
I am. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, would you like to talk about what's going on with the Greenway?
Yeah, I'd love to. So really quickly, I want to give folks an update as far as Boston Harbor Distillery goes. They're very happy. They're increasing their foot traffic, but they do think that they could potentially have more foot traffic. So they're looking into some marketing initiatives. I will say they originally intended to have beer and wine at the site, as well as their distillery drinks. So they've applied for farmers brewer's license and their farmers distiller's license many months ago. This is a federal permitting process that it's administered locally. Their original license for the distillery was quickly approved, and then unfortunately, like many federal processes, their federal license to distribute beer and wine on site has been held up arbitrarily, and it's a little confusing, their pathway. So they've engaged with the lobbyists to try to navigate that. So they hope to be providing that as soon as possible. In the meantime, they remain open, and they'd love for you to visit. They are serving food from the palm that you can order, and then at the next Wharf District Council meeting, I'll provide an update beyond that of how they're doing. I will say the state and the city have been incredibly accommodating to them given the situation, and they're sort of they're just grinding through that federal process. It's a little bit different because they're not selling other people's beer and wine, so it's not a traditional liquor license and that process that you would normally go through. So they're really hoping to straighten that out for the remainder of the season, and I'll keep you all in the loop on that. Matthew, is it okay to share my screen really quickly on a construction update?
Absolutely. Sure.
Great.
Do I need to give you permission to do that? I think you're, yeah,
Nope, all set. So I think you folks are looking at something that says total work area 21%. Does that sound right?
It's loading up. There it is.
Thank you. So I just want to remind folks, and I'm very grateful for everyone's patience. We had a major construction project over the winter through extraordinary leadership. If folks noticed, the governor and the Secretary of Transportation, Phil Eng, announced the completion of the project last week. The rough area of construction was over 20% of the total greenway, about a quarter mile. Luckily, it was done in the shoulder season, so it wasn't that impactful. And the majority of the work was completed before the first FIFA games, and all the folks visiting for the tall ships got to experience the greenway in its new splendor and the improvements. To walk you through the reasons for that project again, if folks remember this neck of the woods, Dewey Square up to the cross of Oliver, was originally supposed to be the Massachusetts Horticultural Society's Garden Under Glass project. These parcels were going to be run by Mass Hort. When that project fell through, there was an interim design developed from Dewey all the way to the Intercontinental. Those parcels became very well loved horticulturally as they kind of grew in, but they lacked certain amenities, not the least of which was you couldn't walk through at night safely because it wasn't lit at night. There was no interior lighting. There was no power, so we couldn't program any of these parcels, which are, again, some of the largest that we have on the Rose Kennedy Greenway, for any special events. And then really concerning was that deteriorated chips, the chip seal and the stone dust was always a tripping hazard, or worse, it caused complicated stormwater runoff issues, especially in the freeze thaw. We couldn't remove snow from that in the winter. So you had a parcel that was totally useless in the winter, quite beautiful in the summer, but only when the sun was shining bright. And then, this is what it looks like now. If you haven't been through, it has these unbelievably stunning architectural archways. The tree canopy has filled in so deeply on these parcels, which is hard to imagine when you think back of the Greenway when it was first planted, how small some of these trees are, that when we repaved these pathways, it was hard to know for the public where they would actually enter into the park. So it has these beautiful structural elements that provide a real, grand entrance into the park, and really transforms the daytime experience. I will say, and this is going to link to Derek's presentation, these are permeable pathways. So the stormwater is absorbed right through these pathways, so it does not add additional runoff. It was an incredibly bold design choice by MassDOT, and we're very, very grateful for that. This gives you a sense of what these lights look like at night, and you can see it's an incredibly safe environment. It was very, very popular during the tall ship evenings and during the FIFA evenings. People strolling through, and the work was so good and buttoned up so well that people's first experience visiting from other countries and from other cities, they just always thought this part of the Rose Kennedy Greenway looked like that, and that was a really special thing. So again, this just gives you a sense of the difference of the experience at night. And I do want to express my thanks for everyone's patience, because there were different periods of times where you were dealing with construction vehicles loading on and off, or you just had to walk through the sidewalks because the parks were inaccessible. I will say they are relatively lightly planted right now. We will be adding more horticulture elements to the park as the project progresses into next growing season. But as you can see, it's a huge improvement. And the thing that I'm perhaps most excited about is that we have this world-class art that rotates on Dewey Square. You know, that's in large part, I see Doris is there, large part to Doris and Bob Gordon's leadership in providing support for the public art program over the years. You have this amazing mural, but most of the time during the winter, it was completely unseen by the public because it wasn't lit. Well, part of this project is adding lighting to that mural. So no matter what the art is on that mural as it rotates, it will be visible. And then perhaps even more exciting is we were able to fundraise on top of the MassDOT project, and we have installed a projection box in Dewey Square. So not only can we light this mural, and it's lit every night now, and they'll be really dramatic in the winter, I think, when it gets darker earlier. We also have the ability to do projection mapping on this wall. So we'll be able to activate this wall. I think this will become a real tourist destination for folks. You know, as you come out of South Station, it'll be, oh, did you go to Boston? That's that place where they light up the mural and they do all that innovative work with the art on the wall. And I think this will lead to a resurgence in the area of Dewey Square, more activity, more positive activity, to push out some of the negative activity. So it's an exciting time in Boston. We're happy these improvements are done. It's exciting to be part of this meeting when new businesses are coming into the Wharf District and telling us about their business. And we're really, really proud to move the Greenway forward in this way. So thank you very much for the time.
Chris, this is so exciting, and what a terrific improvement for the neighborhood and for all of Boston, obviously, but really congratulations on getting this project done. I mean, it's been something you've been wanting to do for quite a while.
Thank you.
So thank you. Oh, yes, a question from Joe Christo.
Chris, Joe Bristow, I walked through those parcels twice today. And just I think they look absolutely fantastic. Great job. And one of those times it was during quite heavy rain. Happy to report no water pooling anywhere.
Joe, that's so fantastic to hear. I actually went out with a cup of water and poured it through the sidewalk, and I felt like it was a magic trick. Susanne will know. Susanne knows better than most. I'm like a little kid with this stuff, so.
Zoom presentation, hold on, so it's saying here. Note to the presenters, the Zoom presentations from other locations can be heard clearly. Speaking to the actual meeting rooms, not very muddy, I think she used. Okay, well, thank you. Sorry I didn't see this just now. Very good.
Thank you for thanking.
Yes, yes, Doris, much appreciated.
Well, we appreciate it. That's why the art is on the wall in the first place. There'd be nothing to light if it wasn't for you two. So
that's right. Joanne Hayes-Rines is with us and can share a bit about Christopher Columbus Park. And
we have.
Yeah, she said she has.
Got yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
You there, Joanne? Oh, she might have gone off screen for just a minute.
I'm going to buy Joanne time because she sent out an email today that I couldn't believe. If she's coming back in a second, can you believe 25 years of the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park? Like, how extraordinary is that leadership? And Suzanne's a big part of that too, and other people in the room. So,
Joanne, are you there? Well, while we're waiting for Joanne to come, Phil Search is coming back, so the name is right there.
Well, do you want me to talk about
why don't we,
series?
yes, Steve.
Those aren't the ones with wings.
Suzanne has some information about this new Boston Harbor Loop ferry service.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but I do have I did some fast slides. I don't know how good they are.
See here.
Do you see something to look? No, that's local. No.
Okay, hold on one second. Station 3, 4. Can we just move down?
So here.
Would be this one?
It could be.
No, not that one. Hold on, folks.
I can, Joanne.
Oh, Joanne, you're there.
I am here.
Joanne,
Okay, do you want me to start?
please, if you're able to share it from there.
Allow to share. Yes. Let's see if I can get the right screen. I don't know. This was working earlier. Believe me. I don't know why it's not doing this. Okay. Cancel. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it sharing? Does that show the Silver Celebration Cruise? No.
You have the share button down the bottom. Oh, here, it's coming through. There.
Okay. I was clicking the wrong button. Sorry, everybody. So this is the 25th anniversary of the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park, which was started exactly 25 years ago. July 30th of 2001. And the group was created by Mayor Menino. After the park was renovated, he brought together neighbors and businesses and created the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park. And the mission was to care for the park, to enhance the park, to activate the park. And we all took that pretty seriously. I was not a part of it at the time, but my dear friend Susanne was one of the founding members. So she can take a bow for that, and she's still on the board of the park. So we're having our cruise on next Tuesday. Of course, now it's not going to show you the whole thing. Next Tuesday, the 28th, and it's aboard this gorgeous private yacht that is donated by the Boston Harbor City Cruises. And they donate the yacht to us because of all we do in the park, and a lot of their people board the boats at the end of Columbus Park on Long Wharf. So it's from next Tuesday night, boarding at 5 p.m. Dinner starts at 6. We cruise, we have cocktails, we have past hors d'oeuvres, and we return to port at 8:30. The ticket is $100.25. We had to get the 25 cents in there somewhere. And I hope people will join. We leave this year from Commonwealth Pier, which is right next to the World Trade Center. And so that's, it's different, but it's a very easy boarding process. The one big difference from the Odyssey, which we were all on one deck, is that you board on one level and you have to take stairs to go to the cocktail level or to go above to the top if you want to see that. So that does restrict some people from coming, but sales are good. We expect about 100 people, which is usually what we get every year. So I hope people are able to come and enjoy the evening. Now, I also have another event, and let's see, how do we get this off? Questions?
Joanne?
Yeah. Questions?
If somebody wants to buy a ticket, what do they have to do? Like, they leave here tonight. What do they do to buy the ticket?
So you can go to foccp.org, and right there is how you buy a ticket. And if I got the screen set up more correctly, you'd see the whole poster, which is quite beautiful. But that's what you do, just foccp.org, and it's $100.25. So I hope people can come. And then the other poster I wanted to show is this one. Let's see. And this will show the whole thing, I think. Zoom.
Yeah, we can see it.
Can you see it? Family Fun Day? No?
Yes, we just see it.
Oh, Family Fun Day. Okay, so this is this Saturday. And this is another thing we're doing for the 25th anniversary. We never had special fun days before. It's a group called Knucklebones. And as you can see, kids climb over things, around things, under things, lots of games, giant Jenga, all kinds of things that they play. And this is for adults and kids. So they've added some adult games to it. And it's from noon to 3 on Saturday. We have them at our fall festival and at our Independence Day celebration. And they take over a good part of what we call the West Lawn, the lawn on the Atlantic Avenue side. And it's just nonstop action. And it's so cute. So even if, you don't have a little one to bring or you do want to play a game, I would just suggest people stop by. It'll just be a lovely afternoon in the park, and for what looks like a perfect summer day. And then the third thing that we're doing, which is a little different, we haven't done this in quite a while. We are, I don't know why this is coming back. So we're bringing back the movies. And it's just all showing so big. So the summer movies will be back. And we have 2 more after this. It's so it just starts on August 2nd. The times that start are approximate after sunset. And then August 9th is Grease. And then we have Field of Dreams, and there's one other, which unfortunately I can't make it show. So we used to do that for quite a while, about 10 years, and then just got a little too much to handle. But we're bringing all that back again as part of celebrating our 25th anniversary. So it's going to be a busy summer. We've been doing a lot of work, and I hope to see you all on the cruise. I know several people in the audience right now in where you are coming, so that's great fun. And then this Saturday, our Family Fun Day, and then our movies start August 2nd. And I also just wanted to say that as Derek was making his presentation about flooded streets, my phone blew up with weather warnings about flooded streets in Boston. So you were right on target, as always, Derek. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Joanne, this is Matthew. Can you hear me?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Nancy Aucoin in the chat said that the sales were closed.
You have to go through the website. There is anybody who's dealt with this before, there's an old lingering page out there that says sales are closed. So just go to foccp.org and you can buy a ticket there.
Okay,
but if
great.
you Google Columbus Park cruise, odds are good it's taking you to a dead page that you just can't get rid of. Like they say, everything lives on the internet forever.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks all for your patience.
Yeah. And now, Suzanne, I'll see if I can pull up the information you had.
Right.
It's about the ferries.
Ferries. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with this new ferry service. It's called Carlo Ferry, and it operates on weekdays, not on weekends. And it connects. It does the loop. It connects Lovejoy Wharf, Central Wharf, the Seaport, and Logan Airport. So it loops around on a continuous loop. So Lovejoy's near North Station, Central Wharf is near the aquarium, Seaport's Commonwealth Pier, and the Logan Airport is where it is. And in the morning, the boat goes clockwise, starting from 6 a.m. in the morning. So unfortunately. Was there another one on there?
Yes, I'm looking. There were several different versions.
So that's around, there's no service between 11:30 a.m. and 3:55 p.m. or after 7:50. It's all on the website. But when it goes into the afternoon service, instead of the ferry going clockwise, it goes counterclockwise. So if we,
It says the opposite on your, it says the opposite on your sheet.
did I say it wrong?
Yeah,
Or did I print it?
I don't know.
I copied it directly from the website. So
So
am
the
I
point,
saying,
Suzanne, if I can interrupt, the point is that in the morning, it's taking people to the seaport, and in the afternoon, it's bringing them back. So they go from example, Lovejoy Wharf to, I guess it's the aquarium, over to Commonwealth Pier, and then, I'm going off memory, and then to Logan. Is that correct?
keeps going a loop that goes back to Lovejoy. That's in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it does the reverse direction.
It
So
brings them home from the seaport around and then ends up at Logan and keeps doing that till 7:30 or something.
so if you left at Central Wharf at night and you wanted to get over the seaport, you'd have to go from
Backwards.
I'm really bad with the backwards. So if you're Central Wharf, going backwards would mean it would then go to the seaport. No.
You'll go Central Wharf to Lovejoy Wharf, to Logan, and then to Commonwealth Pier. And then that takes about 45 minutes.
Well, it's just that if or expecting to get over to the seaport, you might be going to Lovejoy first.
Right, that's all.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a great help for us for our cruise, that people could just get on at the aquarium and just pop right over to Commonwealth Pier, but it goes the other way. Now somebody can take a nice 45-minute or so ride, get on the ferry about, I don't know, 4 o'clock, 4:15, and then be over to Central Wharf by 5 o'clock.
So,
Commonwealth.
you have VTA fares, so if you get on, it's for a full fare, it's $2.40. And no, Charlie cards are not accepted. And it doesn't run on weekends.
It's a bargain.
Yes. But you can find it all on the website. Now I have to understand.
Okay, whoops. I think we're all done here. Don't say that. Okay, here we are. Great. Anything else? Are there any other announcements from the floor? Questions? Well, thank you everybody for turning out, braving the weather. It looks like maybe the rain is dissipated. So those yes, officers need to.
Right?
Oh, next month? No meeting next month. Yes, there's no meeting next month, everybody. So enjoy the rest of the summer.